time is of the essence with those attendees who are present. And you may be asking yourself, why are we looking at my FlexMLS account when you are here to discuss TransactionDesk member benefit? Because we're integrated with your MLS account so that you can easily access your TransactionDesk account and services and features within that online account. So you get to your TransactionDesk account through your FlexMLS account. We're going to show how to log in. We call it a one-click login. I'm in the top third of the page, left-hand side of the screen, clicking on that home. So I want to change that view. I want to change this home view. I think you're probably going to use when you're searching for properties and pulling that type of detail. But we want to switch over to the MLS view. Selecting that action in the top corner kind of changes, gives us a message board and blog and inventory and so forth. But what you're also going to find under the MLS links is the TransactionDesk link. And again, these aren't available yet for the Minnesota Flex MLS members, but this is another client that we have who has the same integration to TransactionDesk. When you click here on TransactionDesk, you are going to be automatically logged in to your TransactionDesk service. One-click sign-on, no requirements for additional usernames or passwords. You're going to be able to quickly access your online TransactionDesk account. So pardon my mouse just for a moment. I'm going to collapse my go-to training sidebar. That sidebar, please use it to type questions throughout this demonstration. Use that go-to training sidebar to type in your questions. They will be answered as we go through this demonstration. Use that chat section. So as you click here on TransactionDesk, for the first time you click TransactionDesk, you're going to be logged in to your TransactionDesk account. But you're going to go through a couple steps first. You're going to go through what we call the pre-flight check, just to make sure that your computer is set. Some of those basic internet browsing features are set. Pop-up blocker probably being the most important. Please allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk to allow for save prompts and calendar icons and system messages and a lot of services available by allowing pop-ups. So please do allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. Closing that pop-up message. Otherwise, what you see here on my screen is a bunch of green checks for browser and OS, for Adobe and Java and cookie support. These are pretty routine internet provisions, if you will. You just want to make sure that you have Adobe plugin installed and updated, maybe to like 7 or 8 or something like that. In the instances that you don't, in an instance where it's unsupported or an older version, you might get a red X here as you log in. But don't fret, as you get that red X, you'll also receive instructions on how to take corrective actions. We just want to make sure that you're going to get the best browsing experience when you are on your TransactionDesk platform. Browser and OS for PC users, Windows-based PCs. You have really option of the big three internet browsers. Internet Explorer, which I'm using for this demonstration, Firefox, and Chrome, all supported by your TransactionDesk platform when using a PC. If you are a Mac user, we do support Safari browser and Safari browser across Mac devices, including iPads and the tablets that they offer. So Mac users, Safari browser, PC users, Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome. PDF, if your computer will allow you, install the Adobe plugin. Adobe Acrobat Reader, that's all we need it to be, is the free Reader version. I think 95% of all computers have Adobe Reader installed with them already. Just make sure that you're at a reasonable version as, I guess, decided by the pre-flight. I think anything above 8 is considered reasonable at this point because there are a bunch of PDF integrations, and we use Adobe for those services. JavaScript and cookie support basic browsing settings. If you get any red X's for any of these settings, that will be You will also receive the instructions on how to take the corrective action. Clicking here to continue in the top right corner, moving through, getting logged in. Again, this is just the first time you're going to go through that pre-flight. You're going to be presented with the terms of service, set your time zone, but agree that you're not going to try to resell our product. Familiarize yourself with the terms and move forward into your TransactionDesk account. All of your MLS information, your name, your contact information, email address, phone numbers, office affiliation, website, whatever content that you have in your FlexMLS account will be passed to us into your TransactionDesk account. So that's the information that we'll have on file for you. When you log in for the first time, you're going to come to the Home tab, or link, if you will, Home link of your Lite view. And you could really come to think of it as that TransactionDesk offers so many features and services that we had to break it into two views. One, the Lite view, kind of the less is more approach, the most commonly used features, the transaction files, typing up forms and storing documents, managing the sale process, kind of just getting started with that online management. There's also the Pro view. So if you look in the top right corner, see where it says TransactionDesk Pro? It's the same exact account as the Lite, but just more services, more features, more options, more choices. Some people, more choices is just clutter. Some people, you're living for that. So if you're very tech forward and are managing files online already in another program, please check out the Pro view. Just more services, more options, more choices within the sale process. We're going through the essentials of getting started, logging in through your MLS account, accessing your TransactionDesk member benefit. First thing, as we want to go through, we want to look at the forms. So I'm not going to take a long time to look at them, but I want you to know that you can access the online form library. Middle third, left-hand side, you can print out a blank form. You can type up an individual form. And that's really what this is. I call it the Forms Library view because it is a alphabetical list of all the forms in your Forms library. That's what it boils down to. When you click on Forms, that's what you get, an alphabetical list of individual forms in the library. If you follow me to the middle third of the screen, right-hand side, these blue icons, you can print the blank form. So we're looking at the first 10 of the 106 forms on this in this library. We can print blank forms. It generates a PDF that we can print to paper. So I'm just going to pick one here, the MLS change form. I'm going to click on the printer icon. It's going to convert my online form to a PDF document. I can now print this PDF to paper. Top third of the screen, left-hand corner, right-click to print. So just anywhere, maybe just right to the left of the form name, just use the right mouse button. There are two buttons on your mouse, especially if you're using a PC. If you're on a Mac, double-click. If you're on a PC, use the right mouse button to access that print menu, to print that page to paper. Fill it out by hand, take appropriate steps. Scan and load it back into your online account. Use faxing services to deliver that handwritten, hand-signed page back to your online transaction. But you can print these blank, returning to forms. Top third right-hand corner, returning to forms. Just takes us back to the form library. So any of these forms in the library, using this print blank icon, we can access and print the form to paper. We can also create new versions. We can type up the online version. But I want to show another feature before we click on the Create New, because I think it's more of an online with how you'll use or search. Top third, left-hand side, we can search for forms by unique identifier. So as you type in exclusive, maybe that's the exclusive buyer agency or something like that, we can search for the forms by name or unique identifier. We can search in particular folders, and we can search for the forms within the library view. We'll find 13 forms with exclusive in the title. I want to go to the contract exclusive right, bottom third, left-hand side. Click on the form name. We're going to click on the form name to open that form, to look at it, to decide what we want to do with it. Which leads me to this phrase here, I would like to. It's a very consistent phrase throughout TransactionDesk, throughout all the features of InstanetForms and Authentisign and DocBox. Throughout the TransactionDesk platform, you're going to see this phrase, I would like to. It is an essential phrase. Every time you see that phrase, it's going to be an association with these drop-down triangles, where you will find the features available within that page. What would I like to do? Would I like to create a new version of this representation? Would I like to email this one to somebody or fax this to somebody? Would I like to start a new file right from this completed form? So I have these options within the individual form. What would I like to do? Work with your online forms. I'm not going to look at Forms Editor right now. We're going to go and we're going to start a transaction file. And we'll look at Forms Editor from within a transaction view. But I want to point out that you can access your individual forms in this way. You can type up one form at a time. You can then print that typed up form to paper. You can take these steps to complete the forms online. Going back, I'm returning to the forms. Middle third, left-hand side, leaving this contract for exclusive right, leaving that form, and going back to the forms library. I can search for any form by name or in particular folder or alphabetically. I can print the form to paper. I can click on the form name, and here's what it want to look like without any versions. You click on the form name. You have 0 saved versions of this form. Clicking here will launch Forms Editor so that I can type up the new version. Print that to paper. Email or fax it outbound. Working with one form at a time. Returning to the forms library. But again, that's just want to give you that quick, maybe that's the safety blanket. You know it's there. You know how you can print it if you really need to. But otherwise, I think I'm going to go back to the Home tab, or link, if you will, top third, left-hand corner. I'm going to leapfrog Documents, which is just the main documents, unlimited storage for documents, uploaded and faxed in. But we're going to see transaction files. We want to focus on files to manage that sale process, to type up a set of forms, to receive and store a set of signed documents and client-specific transaction documents. So that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on setting up those features within our transaction file. Not really work with them individually like the forms library, but work with them in packets. Work with them as you would a manila folder. This is your opportunity to replace that manila folder filled with paper pages with online transaction files filled with digital forms and documents. So let's just take a 2-minute view of a transaction file. So I clicked from the home view, I clicked on transactions. We're looking at all the files that we've created within this online account. I'm going to click on the file name, Williams Fred Single Family Buyer. I'm going to click on that file name to re-access this file. You can come back to these files at any time and add, update, revise, manage, type up new forms, upload more revised documents. Details tab, top third of the screen, left-hand side, where Transaction-Details page. You see the details is kind of deeper charcoal. Property information, address, city, state, zip, list price. Pardon me. Purchase price, information about this transaction, dates and details. The value of adding in this information, it will autofill the forms that we attach to this transaction. All the forms that we attach will be autofilled with this information. Details. Contacts, buyers, sellers, cooperating agents, lenders, loan officers, title officers. Contacts to our transaction file. Contacts will also fill our form field, which is the next tab of forms. Local forms, state forms, association and MLS forms. If your broker is going to participate, custom office forms. We offer those programming services for custom office forms. Forms that we want to fill. Forms are online and fillable. Forms are delivered outbound. Fillable forms delivered outbound. Documents are what we're receiving back, signed, executed. Home inspections, surveys, final settlement statements, documents, scanned and uploaded or faxed back, or Authentisigned into our documents. History captures all of the activity that takes place within the online file. Time and date stamps when the activity took place, who completed the action, what was the action that was completed. And I say who completed the action out of the box, and in the Lite view, only two folks have access to your files, yourself and your sponsoring, managing, designated realtor, broker in that office. As you move into the Pro view, these additional services and features allow you to open your file to your business partner or your team member so you can share your files with other realtors in your office. You can also grant participant access. So as you move into more in-depth transaction management, all of that action is captured within the history of the transaction file. So that's a file. Those are the tabs. That's what we're going to do right now. We are going to import property information from the MLS. Pardon me while I copy that MLS number as we go back to transactions. Back to that transaction page where we see all the files. We can search for our file by name or unique identifier. In this case, I would like to create a new transaction file. But there's that drop down. There's not always a ton of choices, but there's always a few that you need. I would like to create new transaction file, arrow to go to that create page. Go to this start page so that we can start defining our file. Perhaps you're at phone duty, or maybe you just got a referral or an email off of a marketing campaign when you might otherwise reach for a manila folder to start stuffing it with paper. Go online, log in through your MLS account to create a transaction file. The only requirement is that you give your file a name. We're going to name this file. How would we normally name a transaction? However you would put however you name that manila folder. This is free-form text so that you can add Adams, Henry, and who's Henry? Single-family residential. We'll do listing. Name your files as you're going to recognize them. Everything else from here forward, additional details that we're adding to this file, like what type of file is it? Well, it's a listing, so I'm going to go with residential listing. These type boxes and these content fields, you can add your own content to all of these drop-down menus. Well, most of them, and I'll point out which ones you can. Transaction type's one of them. You can import. These are the integrations that will be turned on August 1st for all of Minnesota membership, including Northwest Minnesota Association, the FlexMLS. In addition to the one-click sign-on, we also have options to import property detail from the MLS into transaction files. Time remaining at the end, we'll show a one-click transaction right from your MLS to be able to start a transaction file right from your MLS details page. But there's just a number of different ways to get MLS content into your transaction files, to start populating the details, to start autofilling those forms. We start here. When we have identified the property, we can import it in. Just make sure that your property type, single-family commercial farm lot, is going to match the property type that you're importing. But it's optional. If you don't have it, don't worry. Skip it. Come back later and add it in. It's optional ways to begin adding detail to this new file. I'm just pointing out hopefully nice integrations, as well as options when starting files to leverage previous transactions. We won't have any of those till you start getting in there and you create that practice test file, or you create that, Bob Buyer file. Go in. You are your best client. Go in there. Start creating dummy files. You can close them. You can delete them. You can take appropriate steps. But navigate. Take old files from your filing cabinet and start creating online transactions. You're going to learn how to navigate, but even better, you're going to have backups to those paper files. It's a great way to learn by backing up paper files into your TransactionDesk accounts. And I'm a huge fan of templating. template your transactions. So for every residential listing, I should have a template. For residential buyers, I should have a template so that I can quickly start my new files from these templates, automatically include forms and transaction details by templating them. If you follow me to the top third of the screen where it says templates, this is where you can create the content in templates. You can create content in clauses. Take ownership of these accounts. Make them work well for you. But we are creating a transaction. Just to recenter, we gave our name. It was the only requirement. We chose a type. We're importing from the MLS. And we are the listing agent, our broker, the listing broker. We can change that if we need to. We could click on a different contact type. Otherwise, we're going in as the listing agent when we're saving this transaction file. So again, the only requirement was giving it a name. And we talked about adding a whole bunch of different details in there. But this is just to start filling in our transaction file. We add it one time, and it populates through all of the fields in our forms. And that becomes the real benefit. When I get the detail here, when I add the dates, when I add in list prices and inclusions and exclusions, when I add in these features to my file, they're going to populate my forms. So add in those details, but nothing's required, so let's just prove that point and just go from the Details tab to the Contacts, because I want to add Henry Adams as a contact to my transaction file. Now imported from the MLS, so I'm going to pull out a couple folks here. I'm going to leave, let me go this way actually, because anything or anybody that gets added in can also be removed. So I'm going to take these two out by I would like to. What would I like to do? Well, I would like to delete those contacts because they came in from my MLS import and I just don't need them in my transaction file, and I'm going to remove them. I left a couple examples for agents and brokers. And now I would like to add a new one, add a contact. I want to add a seller contact to my transaction file. I want to add Henry as a seller type contact to this new transaction file so that Henry will auto-populate any seller fields within the forms I'm adding. If he lives at the property, same as property address to populate that information. If I know his phone, maybe I got a cell phone, type that in, and an email address, something like that. Whatever I have for Henry, I can add it in. Again, I can come back at any time and make adjustments to it. I also want to add Henry to my contact database. I'm going to select that checkbox in the bottom left corner. And as I slide over to the right, two things are going to happen. As I click Save, two things will happen. One, Henry has been added as a seller contact to my transaction file, but I've also saved Henry into my contact database. Top third of the screen, Contacts, right-hand side shade, Contacts. Unlimited storage for prospects and contacts within your TransactionDesk platform, primarily to insert Henry into signings and into faxes and into email and other transaction files. We do have services to export and import with Microsoft Outlook. So two-way street with Microsoft Outlook to export and import contacts, and a one-way import with Top Producer. Add in your contacts to your transaction files. If you have multiple sellers, I should say when you have multiple sellers, add them in separately, two seller contacts so that each will populate the printed name fields under signature lines. Two buyer contacts to populate those buyer name fields under signature lines. So add them in separately. Moving to the next tab of Forms. And this is how far we're going to get in our transaction file. We're going to be added some details, some contacts. We're going to add and type up forms, and then we're going to prepare those forms for digital signatures. I would like to add new forms to my transaction. Yes, that's what I would like to do. But there's that phrase, the drop-down triangle is present. But I'm just going to access the Forms library to import forms into my new file. I can either double-click on the folder name, or I can single click on the plus. I tend to gravitate towards the plus signs. For whatever reason, I just click the plus, it expands the column. I select the forms that I want to add in. Agency relationships, we'll start with that one. I'm going to press and hold the CTRL key. See that little instruction at the top? Press and hold, control key. Because I have more than one form. This is why I don't work in the library of forms, because I have more than one. I have about 6, I think, I want to add in, or at least 5. Agency, facilitator, pressing and holding control now, selecting, scrolling down, compensation, pressing and holding control, selecting, scrolling, contract, pressing and holding control to select, purchases down here, financing. Maybe you don't know what it is now, but I'm just going to guess. I guess I'm doing buyer forms. Knucklehead, I'm supposed to be doing seller forms. Sorry about that. I got in the whole buyer thing going there. But I'm sure agency relationships is one that I need either way. So let me recenter my brain here. Now we're looking for listing forms for our new seller. Apologize for that. Let's see. Common interest certificate. Why not? You know what I'm doing. I'm clicking and holding the control key to select. Contingency, represent buyer, buyer, lease, sell. Press and hold, select. Now if it was a financing addendum to what the seller would accept, that's probably different. Internet display, yes. Anything else? Location map, does that need to be signed? Yeah, we're going to skip that one. Any more? Owner, leasing, facilitator, seller contribution, disclosure statement. Got it. Boom. Press and hold control, selected the forms, add selected forms to our transaction. That's really just the first opportunity to add forms. You're going to see additional ways from here. Obviously, you can always add more from our forms editor. You can actually add forms to your file as well. So a couple extra spots to add forms to our transaction. But more importantly than that, I would like to phrase, now that we've added forms, we have a whole bunch of choices of what we can do with these forms. The one that I'm going to pause here and give it time, everyone, to take a look. Forms tab of our transaction file. I would like to menu auto-populate forms. This is the step, essential step within the Lite view to get your transaction details to populate your forms and contracts. We add the dates, we add the contacts and property information. We then auto-populate our forms with that information. Details, dates, and contacts, click OK. Because that's the way detail travels, from your file to your forms, on-screen confirmation. All forms are successfully updated. So the forms we've added, each form, every form has been populated with the details, dates, and contacts. Clicking on the form name, the exclusive right to sell, clicking on that form name, I'm going to launch this form in Forms Editor. So that I can now type up the form, verify the information that has populated from my file, address, city, state, zip, things of that nature, seller's name, listing agent and broker, all that content will have populated through. But there's going to be more fields than just that. Here are the forms that we have so far added. We can also add, if you follow my mouse to the top third of the screen, left-hand corner, going all the way up to that file, because this is a good drop-down menu from Forms Editor, to add a new form to our transaction, to export this form as a PDF. So once I typed it up, if I want to then export it as a PDF or print it to paper, I have those options. Once I finish typing it up, or even if this is close enough and I just want to avoid having to type that name and address on every page, I could print it to paper at this point. Complete the rest by hand. But I think we're going to type the rest up. But those options are available. You can also send these forms individually right here from Forms Editor. We could email it to somebody, or we could fax it to somebody. And you don't need to be within 1,000 miles of a fax machine, right? It's internet faxing. You're instructing TransactionDesk to complete the fax. You get email notifications when those actions are complete. Internet faxing, internet emailing, delivering these completed forms in very traditional means. Going back to this column on the right to point out the little minus sign there. It's a great little minus sign there to shrink that column against the right-hand side so we can see the form we're working on so that we can type up the needed and required fields of this form. So all the forms in blue are fillable. You can certainly access from the calendar. A nice thing about our calendars as well is that you can type in there as well. So not only can it be the date, but it could be to be determined or something else, or the date range, something. I'm not sure. Probably nothing but the date, but just to prove a point there. Tab will take you from one field to the next. There are no restrictions from copying and pasting. So as you type to add details or paste, anything that you copy to your computer's clipboard, so whether you're on whatever site you're on or document that you have in front of you, you can paste into your form fields. There are no restrictions from that. Scrolling through, just roll through your forms. You filled these same forms out probably 1,000 times before. Hopefully, for you, at least 1,000 times. So you know where they are. You know what the fields need to be completed. Go through and verify the content has auto-filled. Type in. You scroll down to the bottom to show the contacts, why you add them in separately, so that Henry is in the first seller spot, second seller would be in that second seller spot. Go through your form fields, type up your forms. I have a confidence that those on the call today are familiar with typing up an online form. If you're not, well, we showed you how to print out a blank form already, and this is just filling in the fields. Type to add details, highlight the field, type in, or paste to complete those form fields. As you type up one form, as you complete one, expand that column. Now it's a plus sign in the top right corner there. Now it's a plus sign. Expand that column and go from the exclusive to the agency. And I think it's just a name field. But I wanted to prove this point, that you're going to be prompted to save your changes. Hopefully great examples of pop-up messages that, yes, it's a value to have that save prompt. I'm going to allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. Complete one form, access the next, type it up, verify it's complete, print it, email, fax it, or exit from Form Editor. That's what we're going to do now. I'm going to exit out of Form Editor, because here from Forms Editor you're printing and faxing the individual forms. Just to show the traditional delivery methods to deliver that agency relationship and that exclusive right to sell. I selected them on the left-hand side of the screen. I would like to phrase email them outbound, fax them outbound, print them to a PDF. So printing them to PDF will merge them together and give me a comprehensive PDF document that I can print or email as an attachment. I can fax them outbound. I can email them outbound. All of these methods require a print cycle, right? If I email them, my recipient, in this case my seller, is going to print them out and sign them ink on paper. Same with the fax. It's received as a paper fax. Print to PDF. That PDF is at some point going to be printed. So there are all these traditional methods of delivering for signatures and initials. What we want to point out is Authentisign. Now, Authentisign for the digital aspect. Get e-signatures on these typed up forms. Skip that print cycle for digital signatures on these typed up forms. So we're going to leave our transaction. We'll come back and show the documents and the history in a little bit here. But as you know, the natural flow, I think at this point you want to create that signing. You want to prepare these completed forms for signing. Top right corner of the screen, clicking on Authentisign, leaving the transaction file, going to create a new signing. We're going to prepare these typed up forms for signatures and initials. We are plotting them. We are essentially plotting where the signatures and initials need to go. List of our previous signings that we have. We can access any of them, review them, manage them, look at the status and so forth. We always have that access. In this instance, we are going to create a new signing. We're going to walk through the steps. We're going to be importing from a saved transaction. But just to prove, Authentisign can be used as a standalone service. So you can, if you're going to continue to use a different form program, you can type up forms and then upload documents into your signing. And we're going to kind of speak to the two as we go through, because they're the exact same steps. Creating a blank Authentisign and importing from a saved transaction, the steps are exactly the same. And we are going to import from our saved transaction for Henry Adams. He is our client that we are preparing this signing for. Clicking on Continue. The only difference between the two, if I create a blank signing, when I come to the name field, it's blank, and I type in a name. Because I'm importing from a transaction, I'm getting prompted with transaction file information. So this is a listing agreement and agency disc, something like that. Give your signing a name so that's unique, so that you are going to be able to identify that final document. Clicking on Next, something that's going to be unique to this client, because there's going to be 3, 4, 5 signing events, listing docs, offers and counter offers, settlement statements, surveys need to be signed off on. Pardon me. So give your signing a unique name. Prompted with transaction file contacts. Any of these contacts going to be involved in your signing? Why, yes. Both Henry would be in this one as a signer, as well as the listing agent Greg would be a signer in this transaction Authentisign signing. Notice there are reviewer and CC only. Ponder on those for a moment as I add these contacts prompted with our transaction file, but in the sense that if you are creating a blank, if you're starting a blank signing, just add a new participant. Clicking on Add New, prompted to type in their name, first, middle, and last, their email address, what they have to do with the signing. So I'm going to go with Tim Title. And Tim is the title officer who I work with. And I want Tim to get a copy of the final signed listing agreement. Save to my contacts. Yes, Tim is being added in so that I can import Tim into future signings, into future email or faxes, and just have his contact information available to me. Tim does not have signature or initial requirements. He has no requirements for signatures and initials. Tim does not have the need to see the signing as it goes through the process, doesn't need to be a party to the actual signing document. Maybe my broker is a reviewer or an attorney, someone who I want to have see the contract but really have no signature or initial requirements. Tim, I just want to receive a copy along with everybody else, along with myself, my client, my broker. I want Tim to receive a copy of the final signed document so that he can open title upon receipt of that listing agreement. So that's all he's going to get is a copy. Type here, choosing the type, I'm going to choose Other for Tim because he has no signature requirements. But as you have those signers, those folks who are going to be required to initial and sign our pages of our documents, Authentisign has signing templates applied to all the Minnesota Association forms. So as you import those forms into Authentisign, Authentisign is matching up the types of signers we are adding to our signing, and it's matching those up with the types of signers who are required on the forms that we're importing. So these Authentisign templates are matching these up in those instances where there is a seller signature requirement on the exclusive right to list contract. It's going to plot that signature and initial requirements for us automatically. Authentisign is using the name, the first, the middle, and the last to build those signature blocks, those initial blocks. We are going to plot those blocks. Our participant will click to accept. I'm adding this participant now. And just to kind of follow through that thought, when that participant clicks to accept a signature style of their choice, is posted or plotted to that block. So we'll see that here in just a few more minutes. We're certainly coming around to that. Participant order is important. Authentisign is going to deliver the invitations to participate in this order. Henry will receive the first invitation. Henry will agree to participate and complete his signing requirements. At that point, Authentisign will deliver the invitation to the second signing participant, who will agree to participate and complete their portion, and continue to deliver invitations through that linear order. Once everybody's done, everybody will receive the copy of the final signed ratified. Myself, as the creator, will get 2 copies, one in my transaction, one emailed to me. Each participant has a copy emailed to them at the completion of that signing process. To hasten the signing process, I'm going to remove myself as a participant here so that we can see how that final document flows through and is integrated back into our transaction file. So add your signing participants. Go to the next step of now importing typed up forms and uploading documents into our signing, because we are first going to be prompted with our transaction file forms and documents. And yes, it's the agency and the exclusive right, and I guess the internet display. I'm going to send these as part of the signature requirements. I'm going to add them in. And just to keep this one shorter, we're going to just add a few. But add them in, prompted. When you are creating a blank signing, when you've manually typed in the name and added your signing participants, upload your files from your offline computers and desktops and laptops and USB thumb drives. Upload a file. This is really the step, top third, left-hand side of the screen. Upload a file is going to give you access to all of those locally stored documents, PDFs, JPEGs, Words, Excels. All these different document types can be uploaded into your signing. Select the document that you want to upload, or documents. You can certainly select additional by pressing and holding the control key. Otherwise, click on Open to add that document to your signing by uploading it into your signing. So the first 3 were part of our transaction file. The survey was something that we had scanned to a file on our computer or had received and saved to a file or folder on our computer. We're uploading that now to our signing. And you can see that it has actually been flagged as potentially being rotated or landscaped. So there's some method to the madness. I'm going to take you to the top third of the screen, left-hand side. You can delete or rotate pages of a document by clicking the document name link. So if we click on Survey, Tara Lane, we click on that name, it's going to show us this document that we've just uploaded. And indeed, it has been landscaped. So it is in a landscape rather than a portrait. And I do want to rotate that. So I can rotate top right corner of the screen, rotate pages, clicking here on Continue. I pick the page or pages that need to be rotated. I choose if it's clockwise counter or 180. In our case, it is clockwise. I'm going to rotate that page. I'm okay to rotate it. I don't have any blocks on there, so I'm good to go. Rotates that page. If it was a multi-page document and I wanted to remove some of the pages, I can certainly take that step as well. Remove page or page ranges from an uploaded document. Upload documents from your offline, add them to your signing. Notice that the forms that we imported, the InstanetForms, as we imported them into Authentisign, signing templates have been applied. Import forms or documents from your TransactionDesk account. Use faxing or emailing services to get documents into your signing. Now that they're in here, we're going to click on Next to prepare them. We're going to plot signature and initial requirements for our signing party. In this case, we have one. He's a party. But in the instances where you have multiple, you just will plot additional signatures and initials. So we're going to take an opportunity here. We have 9 pages of thumbnails on the left-hand side. Navigation tools going in a clockwise fashion here to zoom in, zoom out. My like fit width, so I choose that one. We see that some plots have been added already, and they do look like they're a little goofy, so let's just slide them over. And the reason they're like that is because this form doesn't really say if it's a buyer or a seller. So this form is templated with both buyers and sellers' signatures. So the buyer, I think, takes precedence there, and that's why the sellers looks a little pushed to the right. Because they're both there, but there's only a seller on this signing. So just replot them. And if I did that a little fast, I apologize. I guess it's kind of like second habit. Watch my mouse here as I'm hovering. It's the hand. As I roll over onto the block, you see it turns into a crosshair. And I just simply clicked the left mouse button, left mouse, and held it down so I could move it around. So I could replot it, move it, reposition it into appropriate location. Let go, and it's in kind of neutral again. Here's another opportunity for the right mouse button though as well. As I hover over onto that block and I click on the block with my right mouse button, it's going to yield this formatting menu. So I can delete, I can flip, I can add a date block or a full name field. So I have those opportunities now to reposition or reformat that plotted block. That right mouse button will yield that formatting menu. And all the blocks have the menu, the signatures, the dates, the initials. We'll find that each of them has those formatting right-click menu. Scrolling down a bit, I thought we saw, yeah, there's an initial there as well, so it's plotted. Again, same thing, can move it around, looks pretty good, it's on the line. Going to the next page of the thumbnail, not too much there, page 3, and just go through. Wherever you would require an ink signature, add the digital. I'm going to show here in just a second how to drag and drop some blocks onto the page. But again, a lot of your forms are going to have these plotted blocks. So you're going to be able to benefit from that. Just going through and reviewing, making sure that they are plotted appropriately in the appropriate places on your contract for days and times. Again, there's where we would have been a participant to the signing because we had signature requirements. But just so I can show you how to drag and drop, let's just go ahead and pull one onto that space. View your signing party. Make sure the party that you want to drag and drop for is the highlighted party. I know Henry's the only one here, but in the instances when you have multiple, make sure that the party is highlighted. Select the size of the block that you would like to plot. Maybe we'll go big here. Click and hold the left mouse button and slide it onto the page. Click and hold to drag and drop. Right-click to yield the formatting menu. Not sure it needs a date, but if it did, you could certainly add that block in. Drag and drop for signatures or optional signatures, initials or optional initials. The other one that I want to point out I think you have value for is multiple initials across multiple pages. I'm going to select this bottom right corner. I scroll down in that drag and drop column just a little bit. Just point that out again if I did that a little fast. Maybe some people don't think I'm doing it fast enough. Input to add initials across multiple pages at the bottom or top, at the left, center, or right for the signers to your signing across particular page ranges of particular forms and documents. If you have these initial requirements across all pages of all most documents, use this input sheet to plot multiple initials simultaneously. Nice little feature there to get them filling in without having to drag and drop a whole bunch. You can add initials to multiple pages. But I mean, essentially, the essentials plot anywhere you would require an ink signature, plot to digital. Anywhere you would require a digital initial, plot it. A couple tools here at the top. Drawing tools to, my opinion, line draw, to a strike over, to redact something, to strike over. Text tool to plot a text box so that you can type something new. So little micro adjustments, especially if you're maybe in a counter offer, you could strike something over and type something in. Use those drawing tools to make those micro adjustments. Plot your signature and initial requirements. click Next to finalize and send. Because we're plotting them. Our participants will accept the signatures. When they accept, they will apply a font style to that block. Final step will give us access to any of the previous steps, to change the name, to add more signing participants, to upload or import more documents or forms, to plot more signatures and initials, to exit from the wizard and not send any invitations. But we want to move forward with that. With sending the invitations, triple verify the email. Can't stress enough, just make sure you're spelling the email correct with the correct three-letter acronym at the end, .com, .biz, .gov, .org, .net. You know how many there are, so just make sure you got the right one added in. We can customize the email message that's being delivered to our signing participant. Authentisign is going to be delivering the email. We can customize the subject line and the message for our signing participant. We can make it unique to this signer, or we can make it for everybody who's participating in the signing. So customize that message that's being delivered by Authentisign. As we click Finalize and Send in the top right corner, we will be prompted, are you sure you're ready to send out this invitation? Your signing is correct and complete? Yes, it is. I'm finalizing and sending that invitation. Authentisign will deliver the invitation to the first signing participant. We can certainly have access back to our signing menu, if you will. Middle third right-hand side, just want to point out that you can reset. This basically rescinds that invitation and resets your signing back to that step 5. Gives you the option to go back and revise any of the details of your signing. It doesn't reset it back to 0. It just resets it back to step 5, and you retain all the content that you've applied to that point. But we're not ready to do that. We're going to click here, though. I'm going to click here just to kind of get a refresh on this page. Click on the signing name just to show you the access. You can edit and resend invitations. You can see the status of progress of authentication and signed, and the document revisions as they come through. So we're going to leave that there for a moment. We're going to go to my Authentisign Gmail account. We're going to go to the inbox of that account, and we're going to see that we are going to receive that invitation to participate. There is a copy of a final document that's been received. You will get, as the creator, a number of email messages throughout the signing process. But just keep in mind that you are sender in name only. The email is being delivered from secure@authentisign.com. If you have triple verified and spelled the email address correctly and your participant is swearing up and down that they haven't received it, just please have them check their spam or bulk mail folders, as it may have been filtered out by their email account. So just have them check those alternate folders of spam and bulk if it does not immediately show up in their inbox. Otherwise, they're just going to click to open that email message, off invitation to participate, clicking here on the words, or more likely on the big blue image, to start this signing process. The first step is terms of service, and this is only presented to the first time the participant accesses Authentisign. They're going to be presented with the terms of service that Authentisign is e-sign compliant, Universal Electronic Transmission Act compliant, and FHA approved. Meets or exceeds all those federal guidelines for e-signatures in a real estate contract. So the first time you participate in Authentisign signing, you're presented with the terms of service and the opportunity to create a profile for yourself. And I say you, but also whoever is participating in the signing, if it's your client, if it's yourself, if it's your broker, if it's your cooperating agent. If it's the first time you've ever participated in an Authentisign signing, you are going to go through these steps: to read the terms of service, to create the profile, the password. Notice that the username is the email address. The password is something that the participant creates, and only they will know it, them and Authentisign, because there are password retrieval tools. This is where they create the profile and select a signature style, bottom third, left-hand side, to modify the font style. to select one that they want to represent their digital signature. Some upcoming enhancements will show some additional formatting that they can choose from, but choose a font that's going to best represent their digital signature. And I say they're digital because it doesn't have to be anything to do with their handwritten signature. And I agree that the unique identity signature I have approved are electronic representation for use when signing. Henry Adams, password, username, font style, confirm and accept. Confirm and accepting generates your first email notification. As the creator, you get a notification that this signing participant has authenticated. They have agreed to participate in the signing. They have generated their profile and accepted the terms of service. You get notified. They gain access to the documents. The large 9 pages here, thumbnails on the left, 9 pages of our listing to zoom in, zoom out. I still like fit width. The only thing that they have to do is click the Start Signing button to locate and highlight the first block. By clicking Start Signing, Authentisign is going to highlight and locate the first signing block. All as the participant is going to do is click to accept. As they click, Authentisign applies their font style, and in that case added the date stamp as well. Taken to the next block to click to accept. We have 8 items to remaining, and I do think that most our folks are going to click as they're presented and then come back and read the contract. So optional, seller wishes to have broker arrange for closing. Yes. Accept. Yeah, I think I want the broker to do that. And next, seller shall arrange for qualified closing agent. No, I'm going to decline that one and allow the broker to do that for me. Locates, Authentisign locates and highlights. Participant clicks to accept. Authentisign applies the font style. It applies that date stamp. They click to accept. 2 left, 1 left. All signatures and initials have been accepted. But they're not done, right? They can still reject. Even if they went through and accepted all the signatures, they can still reject the signing. They can go back to any page of the signing, or every page is probably more likely. Go back to every page, read it, review it, understand it. Make sure that they are agreeing to what they are signing. They can reject it. They can accept all. When they click Done, Accept All, they will be prompted again to complete or stay and review. Review the contents of the contracts. Make sure you're understanding what you're signing. When you do complete, Authentisign will deliver the invitation to that second signing participant. In this case, that was our one and only. So Authentisign is now delivering the final documents to all of our participants, our signer, ourselves as the creator, Tim Title as our CC only. Everybody just got a copy of that signed document. Well, thank you message from Authentisign, thanking them for participating. I'm going to refresh our page here. Our Authentisign, looks like I was timed out. Bear with me for just a second. It's a great time for questions using that chat section. You can type any questions as I get logged back in here to this Authentisign account. Take me just a moment so that we can see the document. I know we're right up at that 60-minute mark, coming right up on that 60 minutes, but I just want to point out the final document that's been delivered back to our transaction file and show that integration with the transaction file. Reshowing my screen. So we're logged back into our TransactionDesk account. We came through our FlexMLS account to re-access, clicking on Transactions. We're going to the Transaction section. Pardon my mouse for a moment here. Oops. Question came in regarding Outlook. Yes, you can sync contacts with Outlook. We do have both import and export with Outlook for contacts. The only other person who might have access to your transaction contacts would be your sponsoring or designated realtor in the office, but only to the contacts to your transaction files, not to your entire contact database. If you do have more questions, please use that go-to training sidebar to type those questions in. We are back looking at our transaction files. Clicking on that file name again to re-access that transaction file. The details of our transaction, the contacts, forms, we've looked at these tabs. We're going to the Documents tab within our Henry Adams transaction file. The Documents tab, to see a couple documents that we have in here already. The first one that we see is the fax cover sheet for inbound faxing. You print out cover sheets, you use them to fax paper pages to be converted to PDF documents delivered to your online transaction. That's what the fax back cover sheet does. It converts your paper faxes to PDFs, delivers them online. If you've already converted paper to PDF by scanning, I would like to phrase within the document section of our transaction, you certainly can upload documents. So if you scanned documents to file, you can upload those files into your transaction. Anything that's online can be emailed or faxed outbound. But we've also received a copy of our final signed document. Unlimited storage for prospects and contacts. Or excuse me, got on the contacts there. Unlimited storage for documents. All kinds of sale file documents as you go through that process. Integrated with Authentisign to store those final documents right back into your transaction. Faxing services, scanning and uploading services to repost those documents back into your online files. Going back to the Home tab. Be very mindful of everybody's time. I know we're right at that maybe sliding past our hour mark. Be very mindful of everyone's time, energy, and effort to participate. I am going to re-raise this audio message. I want to point out a few features that we can use moving forward. Again, these features will be launched as your new Minnesota Association member benefit starting on August 1st. If you would like to follow up with additional webinar sessions, if you want to try some recorded content on YouTube, youtube.com/InstanetWebinars. Opportunity there to review all types of recorded content, anything from a 1 to a 3-minute how do I, all the way up to a 60-minute overview. We have some 5-minute tutorials, some 10-minute features, and 60-minute overview sessions. Toll-free support for technical support, sales and support line, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, toll-free support. Questions, comments, general observations as we go forward, webinars at InstanetSolutions.com. So you can ask us any questions and get timely and appropriate follow-up to those questions. This is a good start, kind of getting started with the essentials, but would like more information or a webinar, really a free webinar tailored for the time that you have available and the content that you would like to cover. We also offer those sessions as well. Tungle.me/webinar. Greg is our online calendar for availability. Please let us know what days and times would be most convenient for yourself, your office, or your team, and we can schedule those sessions. But again, thank you very much for the opportunity to present, and until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.